Welcome back. You're watching KTN Weekend Express. Many thanks for staying with us. Let's now get into matters road safety. Just how safe are you on the Kenyan roads? How should you behave on the roads this season? We've already seen enough accidents beginning of this month, and there is a norm of very tragic accidents happening on our roads, especially during the festive season, and that is the discussion we're just about to have. Joining me in studio on my immediate left is Justice Kirigwa, the Vice Chairperson for Transport at the Kenya Private Sector Association, and we also have David Njoroge Kiarie, who is the Chairperson of Road Safety Association in Kenya. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming in.
Thank you very much.
And I think the first question, of course, will be on the kind of accidents we've witnessed on our roads in the past few weeks and the kind of reactions we've gotten, especially from the government. They have been described as knee-jerk reactions. But as an association, I'll start with you, David. Do you think enough is being done to keep Kenyans safe on the roads?
Let me say we are far. We need to do more.
Why do you say that?
Than what we are doing. Because, for instance, like the one which claimed 40 people, over 40 people on Mombasa Road, that accident should not happen or have happened in our soil. It was because of people who are employed by the government who caused that accident. So we say accident, and it's important to note that when an accident happens, we must know what is the cause of that accident. If things were done right, would have that accident happened? To us, we say no. Like, for instance, that vehicle was not even supposed to be in Kenya because it had not complied to our rules in this country. Second, we have our own standards in this country which are not followed. We have institutions in this country. These institutions, like, for instance, KEBS is one of the institutions which make standards. When you come to Kenya, they are employed by the Ministry of Transport to make sure that they are able to look on our roads, make sure that our roads are safe. But what we see is the two institutions are not working together. Because if an institution, for instance, Kenya, when they go and do a bump and they don't follow the standard, which they are supposed to follow, then there is a disconnect between these two. Because, like, if you go to Naivasha, those bumps which were done there did not follow the standard. And the standard is very clear. We have a standard here for the bumps which were not followed. So the question is, who is to blame there? Because if Kenya followed the standard, the way these bumps are supposed to be done, that accident will not have happened. Also, our soldiers who are at the border, if they did not allow this vehicle to come to this country because it had not complied, this accident would not have happened.
So it is a cocktail of so many wrong things done.
So many wrong things, which we must put them straight so that we save our people.
Justice, do you agree with him, and does this concern the Kenya private sector?
Well, definitely. First and foremost, a lot of lives were lost. Condolences to all the families that went through this tragic accident we experienced in our country. So definitely, when something like this happens, how many times are we going to let stuff like this happen before we really look into the mirror and say which points are failing us? So, like he's mentioned a few here, he's mentioned that Kenya Bureau of Standards, some certain specifications were not followed. He's also mentioned about some border problems where this vehicle should not have been allowed into the country. And different institutions have been given mandates to make sure that these things work. We have to hold them accountable. We have to hold the individual institutions accountable that were mandated for the errors and the failures that caused the lives of all these people. So we have to look into the mirror. We have to be specific, not just general, in terms of who we're holding accountable. Like we'd say that KEBS, why wasn't this followed in terms of the institution that built those bumps? If it's that vehicle entering into this country illegally, how did it get in? People have to be held accountable. Yes.
But we don't see much of that. And like I mentioned earlier, we've seen very many tragic accidents that are followed by knee-jerk reactions and blame game. Then after a few weeks, the story dies. We don't know whether people were held accountable. Does this norm, does this cycle concern the private sector? Because you're stakeholders as well. For
sure. Definitely, we are stakeholders for this, and we're the ones who take a lot of loss when stuff like this happens. We can't, because if you look at the number of fatalities, we're getting about, 3,000 fatalities dead in a year.
In a year, yeah.
This number is horrendous. It's extremely large, and it's affecting. It's not only going to affect. It's going to affect the economy as a whole, because here we are saying that our roads are not safe. People are almost. It's almost certain. Like if you're a pedestrian and you get into an accident, 40% chance you're going to die. So it's really unsafe, and it's very dangerous to our economy.
You're from the Road Safety Association of Kenya. What exactly are you doing as an association to curb this particular?
What we have done, we want to do what this government is not doing, what these institutions are not doing.
And what is this?
And this is, for instance, we have taken Kenha, the engineers who did that bumps, to court. Now, if they find themselves in court, for them to prove to Kenyans, why did they do this? Do they deserve these jobs? Because once, we are not saying that these institutions are bad, but the people who are employed, if it is proper, they know they cannot work for Kenyans, they leave those jobs, because we have so many engineers in this country who can do those jobs if they cannot. Because if we keep on, an accident happens, the blame goes, and then that story goes, and we forget about it. It happens another time, another story, and then we forget. Now we are saying we are not any longer going to forgive these people. If an accident happens and you are blamed, then it is proper. You are taken to court, you resign from the job, and we see whether those people who will be employed will do a better job.
So have you already filed the case?
Already the case in court. We have filed the case. Kenha people are supposed to go to court, and also those people who allowed that vehicle to enter our country. Our investigators are there investigating to know exactly who are on those border line, so that they be at least, because we will not keep on discussing about these issues today, tomorrow, because like now you see, there was a bus which caused an accident, Mombasa Road, and you realize we had these problems of buses crashing all the time. We were shocked, because we know the whole of this year we have not heard of a bus having an accident because of the measures which were taken. Now the question, we have to investigate and know exactly what happened, because we don't want that thing to come back, because it was bad. All the weekends we used to hear a bus has killed many, and you know when a bus causes an accident, you expect more fatalities. So let's say it is us, all of us, we have to join hands. That is the media, that is even any common mwananchi, and everybody will join hands to make sure that we remove this monster. And the question is one, this is the month which Jesus Christ was born, and that is why we celebrate Christmas time. Why is it that on this month we have more deaths than any other month? That is a question we should ask
Probably
ourselves.
more
as
deaths
Kenyans.
than births.
More deaths than even births. So the question is, what is the real cause? We should ask ourselves as Kenyans, and we make sure that we have to change our attitude. One, and we keep on saying, vehicles don't cause accidents. People don't cause accidents. Accidents are caused by drivers. Those people who are controlling these vehicles are the people who are causing these accidents.
All right. Okay. But back to you, Justice. What is the Kenya private sector doing?
So definitely we engage, like you mentioned. You see, there's two different forms of accidents we're speaking here. So there's what I call the hardware. The hardware is the roads and all these things. And people normally tend to want to put a lot of blame directly on the hardware. But really, if you look at majority of the causes of accidents, we're getting people driving drunk. We're getting people speeding. We're getting like PSVs contravening the laws. They're using routes which are not the regular routes. So we're not. So most accidents happen when people are doing things outside the law. So for ourselves as KEPSA, really, we hold very close stakeholder meetings with like the Transport Authority, and enforcement is where these solutions will come. If majority of these accidents are caused by maybe the driver has not had enough sleep, you know, maybe he's done a very long route, but is the enforcement consistent? Enforcement needs to be consistent for it to feel, for it really to play a major role. Enforcement can't be only in a specific period of time, like in the Christmas time. Enforcement needs to be consistent from January to December. Consistently, we should be looking at what laws are being broken and holding people accountable, really.
You've mentioned that you hold engagements with various stakeholders, and you have been doing it so far. What has been able to come out of it, especially when it comes to the transport sector of this country?
Well, I'll give one example, like the Transport Authority. You see, number one, the first thing you need to do is really you have to know what are the vehicles on the road. You have to know who are the people on the road. Without that data first, you can't really hold anyone accountable. So I know they've been very strong in a project called the TEAMS project, which is the Transport Information Management System. And what is this going to do for? Definitely, we're going to know they're going to know all the vehicles on the road, and they'll know all the drivers on the road. And the next step after that, once you have all this data, is now holding, now that you know that this is a specific driver, this is a specific vehicle. Even you can use citizen methods where citizen can actually hold people accountable in a matatu. You can hold a driver accountable if he's doing something illegal. There's even a Zusha campaign, which is now trying to help and bring these things out. But definitely, you know, we can't lose more lives. Some of these things need to move with extreme speed. There's no time. You know, we can't have another accident like what we had in Naivasha.
Do you have any initiatives lined up for this particular season on road safety from your department, of course?
Okay, so definitely for myself, as we do have different initiatives. We partner up with NTSA as close as possible to make this happen. But like I said, a lot still needs to be done. A lot more engagement still needs to be done. And, you know, we can't have another accident like what we had in Naivasha.
Do you think the government is doing enough to keep its people safe on the roads?
Let me say we give credit where it deserves. NTSA are doing a very good job now at this time, because you see they are out, not at night. Anytime you'll find them out. They have called our officials. We are working day and night. We are not sleeping to make sure that our roads are safe. Now it is you also to assist, because you don't expect us to do everything. With safety, it is you and me. So you must assist us to make sure that we make our roads very safe, and particularly this month, whereby we know very well that we normally lose more than 500 for the 3 years. This month we've been losing 500 people. So if we can make sure that, and we say as Kenyans that the number we lost in Naivasha, let that be the final number we are going to lose again. And it is possible. Nothing is impossible. I want to say, go to Sweden. These things happened more than our country. But Sweden came up. Everybody came up and said, no, we have to have a vision zero. And for sure, last year, they lost only 265 people, while we were losing 3,000 people. So it is possible if we, all of us, say no to any more crashes.
So as an association, do you have initiatives as well?
Yeah, we have, because like now we are going round. Our officers are going round. We are going with NTSA. Yesterday we were in Naivasha Road with media houses. We are trying to make sure that people are properly sensitized. How are you supposed to use this road? Because what we have realized is that we need proper civic education, which we don't have. And it should start from the primary level, because long time when we were in school, this thing was there. I don't know why this thing was removed. But from primary level, people should be sensitized about our roads. That before you close a road, this is the way you are supposed to do. If it happens you have a car, this is the way you are supposed to do. So if this thing is properly, civic education is properly done, I think we are going to save more lives.
Yes, and that is a conversation that has been there for a while, because away from the government, away from other stakeholders like the NTSA, like the Road Safety Association, like KEPSA, the Kenyans' attitudes and how we behave on our roads is also very telling.
Yes.
Do we have enough civic education for Kenyans? Let me put that to you, Justice.
Yeah. So you know, it's you know, road safety, like just like you said, it's kind of like one of those things that you need to be taught from when you're extremely young. And I'll give an example. Like you know, it's well known, and this is different from safety. Something like recycling, and you know the 3 R's that people are taught when they are in these IGCSE schools when they're very young. Even for ourselves as Kenyan, we need to start teaching road safety to children when they're very young. Such initiatives already started. Right opposite St. Andrew's Church, there's a road safety training facility for kids there. You know, when I go there these days, I don't see, the place it's a ghost town. It's a ghost town. We need already, some of these facilities are already there. We need to use them. We might not feel the benefit now, but the future will feel the benefit. And the roads, and we won't be having 3,000 fatalities on the roads every day. We need to start this thing from the grassroots level. From that child at 3 years old when they start going to school, they need to know they need to look left, right, and things like this. Because even besides what we're speaking about, the vehicle accidents, one thing that should even be brought to light is a pedestrian accidents. 40% of all fatalities that involve accidents is pedestrians who are getting killed. So these are people that are either walking or that are mostly walking, maybe on a bicycle or something like this, that are getting killed. We never hear about this number. 40% of the 3,000.
It's a huge number.
That are dying, it's because they are pedestrians. And out of every, you know, another interest. So I like statistics. And one thing I give NTSA credit for, they've given us statistics. 3,000 fatalities every year on the roads. 40%, which is about 900 to almost 900 to 1,000, is pedestrians. And the interesting part is, if you're a pedestrian on the road and you have an accident, 80% chance you're either going to die or be seriously injured to where you cannot work anymore. So imagine the cost of this in our hospital institutions. It's horrendous. The cost in like Kenyatta Hospital and places like this, it's horrendous. And these are all pedestrians. We never really look at that statistic. But this is something very important we also need to look at.
And also, what I think, all the institutions, let us forget about NTSA. We want all the institutions to come together so that we see how we can save this situation. Because, for instance, when we go to judiciary, we really need them. If they come in, they will assist us. We need everybody to join road safety. Road safety is for us all, because it is either the people who really feel the real pain, is the people who have lost their people. And let me tell you, when you count 3,000 in a year, don't forget, in one of these years, you will lose one of yours. So for us to make sure that our roads are very safe, let us come together. This is not about politics. This is about making sure that our roads are very safe. Because if our roads are not safe, I'm telling you, it's something very bad. Imagine, pedestrians, just Mombasa Road the other day, we used to lose so many people. But what just happened reduced pedestrians' deaths. Just for them putting that rail there. So we are saying, why can't you do that, Thika Road, if we have been able to save the number of pedestrians? Because if you count the number of the pedestrians we lost last year, it was a big number. Now we are shocked because now the number is again raising on the side of the border riders. One, we are very sure many of them don't have licenses. They don't. There is no any school which train them on how to do the driving of those borders. So what we are saying is this: if all the institutions can come together, we can make sure that we go even to those border people. Because one thing we must realize is that we cannot remove borders on our roads. So it is for us to make sure that they are safe.
Currently, do you think institutions are working in tandem?
Let me say, I can see some institutions are now coming up because, but now we really still need a lot of support. For instance, now I can see even private companies. Like now we say there's a company, Baburi. They are really doing wonders. They are even giving their own money, training these borders people. They are doing good things. And as I said, institutions, you know, there are institutions which are working, but they are not recognized. Like for instance, KEBS, as I've said, they are trying to make sure that they are coming with the standards of whatever we are doing. Like now they are around trying to come up with the standards of this body of these our vehicles which carry passengers, PSV passengers, because we realize if a vehicle have an accident by accident, the bodies just rip off, and many people die because of that.
All right, I understand we have a minute, so I'll give you each 30 seconds to just give us a message. It's the festive season, and concerning just how safe Kenyans are on the roads, what would you tell them out there?
Well, you know, the roads, there's a lot of accidents that are going to happen, and the sad thing is that they're going to happen. So even maybe it's safer to stay indoors. Just bring your family as close to possible to you. And but if you have to take the roads, you know, it's upon you. Just follow the laws. Follow the laws, you know, even though maybe someone else is not following, you just play your part, you know, because it's a lot of times we want to point fingers. We want to say that this Matatu person is doing this person is doing this, but how accountable do you hold yourself first? So it really begins with you. So each individual, as you take onto the roads, and as you take onto the roads, it is your responsibility really to obey the laws.
David.
I would like to tell Kenyans, if it is possible, we need you next year. We really need you next year. So please take care. Road safety is you and me. Take care during this festive season. First and foremost, don't drink and drive. Second, make sure before you cross the road, you make sure that the road is clear. And thirdly, I would like to urge all the drivers this is the time you have to be very careful because you're carrying lives, and make sure that we need you. Don't kill somebody or kill yourself.
All right.
We need you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. These are messages you'd want to carry on with you this festive season into 2017. Stay safe on our roads, and as David says, we actually do need you in 2017. Justice Kirigwa is the Vice Chairperson, the Transport Department at the Kenya Private Sector Association. David Njoroge Kiaria is the Chairperson of the Road Safety Association here in Kenya. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming in. We end that discussion there here on KTN Weekend Express. Thank you very much for being with us since 7 a.m. My name is Akisa Wandera. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing here on KTN News.